Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin has just confirmed the breakout from this bullish pattern, while the price is also running into important resistance in the shorter term. And in less than 24 hours from now, new CPI inflation numbers will be released, which could heavily affect the market. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment as well. Definitely stick around. First of all, talking about the US CPI inflation numbers that will be released tomorrow. In fact, that will be released at 12:30 p.m. in the GMT time zone on the 10th of August, so roughly around this time tomorrow. And as always, as soon as the numbers get released, within a minute of the new numbers being released, I will be sure to tweet them out over on my Twitter. So if you want those real-time updates, make sure to follow me over on Twitter. The link is down below in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you're looking at the expectations for tomorrow's CPI inflation numbers, right now the majority in the market consensus is expecting 3.3% year-over-year inflation, which is actually slightly higher than what we got last month, which was 3%. And the trading economics forecast is currently predicting 3.1%, which once again is still slightly higher than the 3% that we saw last month. And so what this actually means is that right now 3.3%, which is what the majority in the market is already expecting, that's essentially the number that is being priced into the market already. So essentially, if we end up seeing that 3.3% inflation number tomorrow, then that would be relatively neutral for the market. We shouldn't really be expecting anything too significant to either direction based on that outcome. But if we end up seeing the inflation number actually come in outside of those expectations, that is where we could see a lot more volatility. And basically, all you really need to know is the lower the inflation number actually is, the more bullish that should be for markets, and the higher the inflation number actually is, the more bearish that should be for markets. And so basically, if we somehow see the inflation number come in the 2% range, so underneath 3%, then in that case, we would likely see a very large bullish move across the markets. But on the other hand, if we end up seeing inflation come in closer to 4%, then we would likely see a crash, or at least a short-term dump across the markets. And basically, the further away those new numbers are from expectations, the more volatile that move will likely be. So basically, if we only slightly miss expectations, just a little bit to either side, then we still might not see anything too significant. But if we see a massive miss, so for example, 1% to either direction, then that is where we could see a much larger move. And once again, I'll make sure to tweet out the new numbers as soon as they get released over on my Twitter, link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin part of this video. This is on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is technically still within the much larger bullish trend, as I've been saying basically every day since the very beginning of this year. But obviously, more recently, we have seen a new bearish divergence here on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, which is basically resulting in this larger bullish trend, basically taking a pause just in the shorter term, losing some bullish momentum for now. But this bearish divergence does not necessarily invalidate the larger bullish trend, because in order to actually invalidate that larger bullish trend, we would need to see at least a break below this previous low, confirming a new lower low, and at the same time, that would also invalidate the super trend indicator, flipping it from green back to red. And so basically, the point of invalidation for this larger bullish trend would be a confirmed break back below around $25,000. So essentially, as of right now, even though we've recently taken a bit of a pause from the larger bullish trend, we're technically still looking more bullish than bearish on the larger timeframes, as I've been saying basically every day since the beginning of the year. And now, if you're zooming into the daily Bitcoin chart, we also technically have a bearish divergence here on the daily time frame as well, which has obviously resulted in the price of Bitcoin playing out reduced bullish momentum, which has been playing out mostly in some sideways price action and some slight bearish price action over the last few weeks. But right now, we are potentially seeing some early signs of invalidating this previous bearish divergence here on the daily time frame. For example, just over the last 1 day, we have now confirmed this daily candle close above these previous daily candle closes, which is actually confirming a slightly higher high here on the daily time frame if you're talking about a shorter term trend. And also, if you're talking about the shorter term trend here in the daily Bitcoin RSI. Obviously, over the last one day, we have just broken into a new higher high as well. And now, in order to be more confident that we've actually invalidated this bearish divergence on the daily time frame, we ideally need to see at least a new higher low confirm in the RSI alongside the price action, and ideally simply seeing a breakout in the RSI above this descending line of resistance, which as of right now has not yet happened. But obviously, just in the shorter term, we are moving closer towards potentially invalidating this previous bearish divergence, which obviously would be a bullish signal if we do invalidate this bearish divergence. And what we have also seen over the last one day is a new bullish cross here in the daily Bitcoin MACD, just confirm with now a daily candle close actually cementing this bullish cross in place. And so technically speaking, this means the momentum is finally starting to flip a little bit more bullish again rather than just bearish here on the daily time frame. And so once again, this is another sign pointing towards a potential trend reversal if you're talking about the shorter term trends, because obviously just in the short term, we have been in a bit of a short term bearish trend, but obviously all of this has been occurring within that much larger bullish trend. And another signal pointing towards a short-term trend reversal from bearish back to bullish is, of course, this breakout from the falling wedge pattern, which is a bullish pattern I've been talking about over the last few days, because statistically speaking, a falling wedge breaks out to the upside around 2/3 of the time and breaks out to the downside around 1/3 of the time, which means obviously it's more likely it will break out to the upside than to the downsides. And obviously this is exactly what we are now seeing, as we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days. We obviously have a perfect breakout from this line of resistance, which was sitting at around 29.3k approximately. And as of right now, we have now confirmed a daily candle close, not only above this resistance, but also a daily candle close above these previous daily candle closes at this previous high. And so once again, at least for now, in the somewhat shorter term, this is a bullish signal that we need to pay attention to, and this has actually activated a technical price target to the upside based on this pattern, which is sitting at the top of the wedge, which by the way is sitting at around 31,500. And so from the current Bitcoin price at the time of recording this video to that technical price target, we're talking around a 5 to 6% move to the upside, or from the breakout, if you actually enter the position right at that breakout to that technical price target, that's around a 7 to 8% move to the upside. But if you're zooming into the 8-hour Bitcoin to US dollar chart right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is actually running into a bit of short-term resistance, sitting at approximately $30,000 based on this Fibonacci level, which was previous supports back here and was recent resistance just here. So just keep that in mind. We could find some resistance at around 30k approximately, but if we see a strong, clean breakout above 30k with ideally candle closes confirming the breakout, or even better, if we actually flip 30k into new support, then basically if we see those confirmation signals, then we will likely quickly see the price of Bitcoin move up towards around 31,500. Once again, that technical price target. And now just taking another look at that 8-hour time frame, if we do actually see a rejection at around 30,000 and come back to the downside, then we should find some strong support at around 28.9k to 29k approximately. And just above that level of support right there, we could also find some support at this previous line of resistance, which is now sitting at just above 29,000. And now zooming back into the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, looking at the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI, obviously just recently, as I've said recently on the channel, we do technically have an active bullish divergence here in the shorter term. And so once again, this bullish divergence means that we should not necessarily be expecting any bearish momentum, at least in the short term here, talking about the coming days. And instead, we're likely going to see either some choppy sideways price action, if not a slight bullish relief in the short term, which is obviously what is now playing out as we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days. But it is important to understand that a bullish divergence by itself does not necessarily invalidate a bearish trend, because for example, if you're looking at what we saw back in May this year, obviously we had a bullish divergence confirm on the 8-hour time frame, and obviously that resulted in a bullish relief over the next few days, but we technically remained within that shorter term bearish trend. And so once again, a bullish divergence by itself does not necessarily guarantee that we have actually reversed the bearish trend. So for that, we need to see some other signals, like for example, invalidating that bearish divergence on the daily time frame with a breakout here in the daily Bitcoin RSI, because as I said earlier, that could further confirm the fact that we are potentially seeing a short-term trend reversal from bearish back to bullish. But as I said towards the beginning of this video, all of this is still currently occurring within a much larger bullish trend that has been the case since the beginning of this year. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily ETH to US dollar chart, and right now the price of ETH is currently bouncing from this important area of support sitting in between around 1770 to 1820. And if you're looking at the daily Ethereum price oscillators, right now the daily Ethereum RSI is currently looking relatively neutral, while the MACD is also looking relatively neutral because we have not yet confirmed a new bullish cross. But as of right now, we're still seeing very low momentum, which means we shouldn't necessarily expect a massive movement here on the daily time frame, and instead we're likely going to see a relatively mild price action unless we see a new signal confirm, which hasn't happened as of right now. And now if you're zooming into the 8-hour ETH to US dollar chart, right now looking at the Fibonacci levels, the price of ETH is about to run into the 38.2% Fibonacci level, which was previous support back here and could potentially act as new resistance like what we saw just recently, and this level is sitting at around 1870 to 1880. But if we see a confirmed breakout well above 1880 with confirmation like candle closes, or even better, if we saw 1880 flip into new support with a bounce from that level, then in that case, any of those confirmation signals could help confirm a move up towards the next resistance, which is sitting up towards around 1930. And as for support, in case we actually see a rejection from this short-term resistance, then in that case, we do have support at around 1820 to 1830. And now if you're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 6-hour time frame, right now, as of recording this video, the price of ETH has just confirmed a breakout from this descending line of resistance, which was sitting at around 1850 approximately. And on top of that, as I mentioned in my last video, we also have a shorter term bullish divergence currently playing out here for the price of ETH, because obviously we have recently confirmed new lower lows in the price action in the candle closes, while also confirming higher lows in the RSI, which is obviously a bullish divergence, meaning we should not be expecting a lot of bearish momentum in the short term, and instead we're likely going to see either some choppy sideways price action, if not a slight bullish relief in the shorter term, which is now playing out. And if you're looking at this line of support and this descending line of resistance, we also potentially have a falling wedge pattern here for the price of ETH as well in the shorter term. And if that's the case, then that could also set up a technical price target towards the top of this wedge, which is sitting at around 1920 to 1930, just at around this line of resistance, close to 1930. But once again, before that resistance, before that price target, we do have the immediate resistance at around 1870 to 1880 that we cannot forget about. And now, if you want to know how to make a lot of money in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using AI, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.